advances to the Final Four.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball Podcast.
Shout out to Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Podcast.
Shout out Chillinois Basketball, man.
Welcome back to the Chillinois Basketball Podcast. The Illini defeat the Pennsylvania Quakers by a final score of 105 to 70 against Fran McCaffrey, our old Iowa friend. And they will advance to the second round to face VCU. The Rams out of the, what are they? What is it? The ACC now or the AAC?
No, I think they're the A10.
A10, you're right. The A10 had a good day yesterday. But anyways, we will preview that game in a few minutes after recapping the Pennsylvania win. And it was a good win for the Illini. I know you said in our short video that you're back on the train, and a 35-point win will certainly do that. It was a Mirkovic masterclass. You called that. You said he was going to have 30 points. He damn near did it. He had 29 points. Also, this is a first for us on the Chillinois Basketball Podcast because we're getting to recap a NCAA tournament win. Not because the Illini have never had an NCAA tournament win before, like Nebraska, until yesterday, but because we've never done it on this podcast. This is the first season we are covering the NCAA tournament at all. So this is a good one to start it off on, Noah. 35-point win in Greenville, South Carolina. The first half was a little bit sketchy. I know at times when we were texting throughout the first half, at least, we were like, what the heck are we doing? Too many threes, not enough going inside. Mirkovic really saved us in the first half by getting, I think it was 9 offensive rebounds in the first half, or 7 potentially. Either way, it was a lot. And then in the second half, the threes started falling. The offense looked a lot better, and Pennsylvania looked a little bit tired. Their best player, AJ Powers, was just absolutely locked down by Kylan Boswell. I know he was sick as well, but he could get nothing going on the offensive end. I think he only put up 2 shots in the first half, and the last shot he had was the last shot of the first half, and it was a long 3. But Pennsylvania looked out of sorts in the second half and just totally outmatched by the size of the Illini. And I'm impressed. In a game where, I don't know, after that Wisconsin loss in the Big Ten tournament, I looked at this Penn game and was like, this could definitely be a game where the Illini, if they allow Penn to hang in the game, we could get a really close game down the stretch because Penn can hit threes as they did in the Ivy League tournament. And then it kind of looked like it might happen in the first half, but I know you're a big David Mirkovic guy, and he named himself today it was David Mirkovic. His nickname is also the same as his first name, but I'm going to let you talk about him because you called his nearly 30-point performance. He had 29 points and 17 rebounds. I think it was the most rebounds for any Illini player ever in the NCAA tournament. And Brad was absolutely thrilled with his performance yesterday, as you were as well, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, big time Merc performance. I called it in the short. I said 30-point performance from him. I called a 50-point win. It wasn't exactly 50-point win. It was 35-point win, but still, I'll take that any day of the week. Yeah, I mean, just incredible job in that second half. Like you said, though, the first half I was a little bit nervous. FranCon was reaching, level 5, we will say. He was getting kind of pissed, but yeah, the refs were just kind of weird all around. The second half, though, I mean, you can't ask for better performance from a team, really. I mean, everybody I thought played really well. Jake Davis, not great. He had probably had the worst performance of the bunch. But even still, I mean, there was a couple weird calls here and there. But I think what they were able to do in the second half, if they can do that all the time, we're going to win a championship.
Yeah, absolutely. If they could do that for a first half and a second half, it would look glorious. They would score 130 points a game because in the second half they scored 65. But in the first half, do you think there's anything that held them back specifically, or was it just pregame tournament jitters? Because in games subsequently, we're going to face VCU, and if we win that game, we're going to face an even better team. So it's not every game where you're going to be allowed to let a team like Pennsylvania hang around and then not kind of be punished for it in the second half of a game. So what are you chalking that up to? Just jitters, or I've heard something about the basketballs being overinflated in the NCAA tournament. I'm starting to believe that theory a little bit more because the Illini couldn't buy a 3-point basket in the first half. They were like 4 of 17 or something in the first half. But do you have any thoughts on inflated basketballs, pregame jitters. What do you think really happened in the first half, at least?
I did see the video of the inflated basketball, so I'm not really sure what that was all about, but wouldn't surprise me if there's some tomfoolery going on. But no, I think yeah, I mean it's just, you can't expect to come out and have an electric start when your end of the season kind of looked like how it did. It wasn't great. Maybe they were still kind of in their own heads, and then once they saw the ball hit the net a few times, they relaxed and got in a rhythm. And that's what Brad said. He said at the halftime little interview or whatever he did, we just got to settle down, get in our rhythm, and we'll be fine. So, and now they seem to be in that rhythm, and hopefully they can continue it because man, that was elite, as Brad Underwood would say, elite.
Yeah, you used the word electric, I'm pretty sure, to describe the second half, but we could also call it elite if we're going with E adjectives. Let's pick out some other players besides David Mirkovic because we could talk about him all day. I've seen a tweet actually. The only bad thing about Mirkovic playing so well is he might start playing himself into like an NBA pick because there's obviously a lot of scouts at these NCAA tournament games, and there's always one player who isn't on anybody's radar and then just has a crazy March run. Walter Clayton last year for Florida, obviously, he jumped up draft charts after his NCAA tournament run and brought Florida to the NCAA championship game. I'm not saying Merck is going to do that necessarily, but if he gets 29 and 17 in every game and then the Illini make the finals, he might be on some draft boards. But other players besides Merkovic played really well. Two, Tomislav Ivisic actually quietly had 12 and 7, 1 for 4 from three. Actually, I didn't think Tomislav played that bad of a game because his shot selection wasn't bad. He wasn't chucking everything up. He only took 4 threes, which seems kind of light for him on a typical game. He also got inside pretty well. They only did it 2 or 3 times, and I think twice in the second half. But they got him the ball inside on the post, and he just went to work against guys that were shorter than him. Mirkovic was doing the same thing all game, especially in the second half. So I really like Tomislav's game yesterday. Keaton actually had one of the more impressive stat lines just quietly. He had 18 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. So once again, kind of doing it all. Because in the first half, I felt like I was watching the game like, where's Keaton? What's he doing? And then it wasn't until he hit a three-pointer that I think the announcer thought he got fouled as well. He didn't get fouled, but he hit a three-pointer and then he started to cook from there. But then I saw his first half stat line. It was like 13, maybe 6, and then 4 assists. And I was like, I mean, he's halfway to a double or triple double with those assists in the first half. But Keaton did really well, and then Kylan Boswell just defensively locking up AJ Powers all game. And then props to AJ Red because it did get sexy in the second half. That was really fun to watch. We got some Mihailo Petrovic minutes. I think he had an assist. And Ben Humrichhouse, actually, if we're going to talk about three-point shooting, really nobody shot particularly well from behind the arc for the Illini. I guess Mirkovic and Keaton both did. They were both 4 for 7. But Humrichhouse was 4 for 8. Um, so I thought he took some of his threes kind of quickly, but he did pretty well. We might have to start a MVP besides David Mirkovic for the tournament. So who would you give the MVP to in this game besides David Mirkovic if you had to?
I'd say Ben. I really liked what Ben was doing. I mean, his 3-point shot was falling in the first half when nobody else's was besides Merck. So he really kept the team in there and kind of inspired them. And Andre even made a three, so shout out to him. Tommy continues. I mean, maybe Tommy hit 1 3. Is that correct? I think he
He
hit
did, yeah. It
one.
was 1 for 4.
But it's like I did like his inside game. He played a little bit more inside, but you're playing against Penn, so what do you expect? Hopefully he can keep that up, especially against VCU would be great. But overall, I think Ben had a really solid performance, and you know, it's always about who's going to be the guy that steps up, the second guy, third guy that steps up, because there's always going to be the one guy, whether it's Keaton or Merck or whoever it is, you're going to have somebody putting up 30, but then who's going to be that second guy is really the question. And if it's Ben Hamrikas, then I like it because he can shoot the three ball. He's probably the best. I mean, as of late, he's been the best shooter on our team. I mean, Jake Davis has kind of fallen off, quite frankly, in terms of his shooting ability. Every time I haven't seen Jake Davis make a corner three in a while. I mean, I don't watch all the games, but even still, I mean, he has not been shooting very well lately. So I'll give it to Ben. I think he deserves it.
Yeah, and if you're going to talk about second best players on the team, it is funny that you mentioned that because That's the one thing about the Illini. They have Keaton and David who are going to get potentially 30 on a given night. But the Illini have a lot of players who can be the second guy or even the third guy. So that gives them a lot of depth, I think. They only play 8 players, 3 off the bench, but it's still a very deep team, which bodes well for a deep run in March. Last point I want to talk about with Penn before we move on to the VCU preview. That game will be on Saturday night at 6:50, I think. But I want to ask you this: did you see a highlight clip of the Penn marching band at the end of the game chanting? It's all right. What did they chant?
That was the lamest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. And people are
Okay,
like,
you thought that was lame too.
I thought it was the dorkiest thing. It's like, you're gonna work. Okay, it's like slave vibes. It's giving slavery vibes. So please chill with that shit, Penn. I don't get down with that. And it's all these dorky white guys. And it was weird. And it's like, you do realize that U of I is like one of the best universities in the country. I mean, it's not like they're some random, community college. So it didn't make any sense.
For the record, the chant was, "It's all right. That's okay. You're gonna work for us one day." Um, yeah, I thought that was a little strange. I saw a Northwestern fan tweet about how they would never chant something like that at the Illini, which was funny as well. And then I think I
They were
don't
the
know.
ones chanting at TSJ, no means no. So
Yeah, true.
what are
Actually,
they
I should
talking
have I
about?
should have responded and been like, Northwestern fans don't know how to hold their tongue very well. So, weird from the Penn fans, but I mean, obviously they're just trying to have fun at the end of the game. They were getting blown out by 35 points, so it's like, I mean, we had AJ Red scoring on them. AJ Red stole a rebound from somebody down low and just put it back up. I think Blake Fagbemi missed the shot. I was really hoping he would put it in. Actually, I was impressed with Brandon Lee in his like 4 minutes of game time. I know he was playing against the reserves for Penn, which can't be very high level competition compared to what Brandon Lee played in high school. But it made me think like maybe we should give Brandon Lee a few more minutes at the end of games and see if he can find a role for himself in March at least, because I kind of liked what he was doing with the ball. Anyways, we're gonna wrap up the Penn recap and get on to the next game. VCU is the Illini's second round opponent out of the Atlantic 10. They knocked off North Carolina in their 6 versus 11 matchup. It was an overtime game. It was a thrilling game. VCU was down 19 points. And then I think it's Terrence Hill Jr. is the guy, as I remember his name was very similar to Terrence Shannon Jr. He was crazy in the second half. He's really their go-to scorer, which is odd because when I looked at their starting lineup, he comes off the bench most of their games. But anyways, the Illini will face VCU Sunday. Let me see what time it is. I think it's 6:50 if I remember correctly off the top of my head. But it's very similar to their 2024 NCAA tournament run, when in the first round, the Illini knocked off a 14 seed. And then in the second round, they ended up getting the 11 seed instead of the 6 seed. If you remember correctly, I think if I remember correctly, the Illini faced Morehead State in the first round, and then they ended up playing Duquesne in the second round, who was the 11 seed that year. So we're getting some throwbacks in history here, but are you at all worried about this game? The Illini opened up as 10.5 point favorites. VCU just showed us they can come back down from any amount of points, and the Illini have been a team that have let up leads when they were up 19 points or 20 points. So that kind of gives me this a little bit of fear going into this game, just because they haven't been able to close out games as we've seen so far this season. But yesterday they closed out the game pretty well. So I'm kind of going both ways on it. But what are your first thoughts on VCU? Would you prefer to play them over North Carolina? I can start with that question.
Nah, not really. Either team I think we're capable of beating. The fact that VCU did come back from so many points down is slightly concerning, but also, they're like not even top 50 Ken Paul. Maybe they are. I don't know. I'm not too worried about it at all. I think Illinois can win this game by 20 points if they really want to, but I could also see them losing the game. It wouldn't surprise me because they give up, they give up leads. So if this VCU team can do what they did with North Carolina, I could see Illinois just getting defeated and you know, not wanting to keep fighting. But I think they will. I think they'll come out strong. They'll have that momentum from the Penn win, and I think I'm not worried about it.
The line is actually up to 11 and a half now, and I can confirm the game time is at 6:50 p.m. tomorrow. Yeah, second half comebacks are something the Illini are known for giving up. I think we texted each other both something along the lines of like step on their throats yesterday when the Illini were playing Penn. We texted that back and forth multiple times because we were like, oh, here comes the Penn run. They're going to give it up again. It didn't happen. So I'm glad that didn't happen. It gives me a little bit of optimism that the Illini have stopped allowing teams to come back from double-digit deficits. But we'll certainly see against VCU. Let me just go through some of their personnel real quick to give you guys an idea of what this team is. As we've known from VCU historically, they run basically an all-game full court press. They still play that chaos or have I think it's havoc defense, whatever Shaka Smart used to call it. Um, but they try and force turnovers. Um, they're not the best rebounding team in either category, offensive or defensive. They're not the greatest three-point shooting team, but they did get hot yesterday against North Carolina. But their main go-to thing, at least, is defense, and especially forcing turnovers in a full court press. So Tyler Underwood's going to have his hands full figuring out how to try to break that, and then finding mismatches on the offensive end when they do get it past half court. Um, but I think that also allows the Illini, who are such a good passing team, to probably find some open shooters. But like I said, let me get through the personnel on VCU. It's Terrence Hill Jr. is their leading scorer. He does come off the bench, which is a little bit odd to me. Everybody's calling this the Terrence Hill Jr. tryout game because I think he's from Illinois. So just like John Blackwell, I'm sorry, he's from Portland, Oregon. I don't know why people said this is the Terrence Hill Jr. tryout game, but I'm seeing that on Twitter a lot. He is their leading scorer, 14.9 points per game. He does come off the bench. Second in command, I guess, would be Lazar Djokovic, which I thought that name was hilarious because there's already a great tennis player named Djokovic. And then Lazar Djokovic is Serbian. So we're going to have a little Serbian battle between Petrovic and Djokovic on Saturday night. I don't think Petrovic is going to play very much. We can hope he does because it must mean the Illini are up 30, but they do have a European of their own. He's going to be a factor in the game. Other than that, VCU is just a bunch of mid-sized guards. They're all like 6'4" to 6'7" guards. That worries me a little bit too because another one of the Illini's kryptonite is really good guard play, and VCU is certainly going to get it from Terrence Hill. They're going to get it from their freshman Nick Lewis. They have a guy named Brandon Jennings on their team, which is really funny because he was an NBA journeyman with the Bucks for so long. Um, does that worry you at all, Noah? Just the guard play being pretty elite, if we're going to use E word adjectives the rest of this
Yeah,
podcast.
yeah. Guard play is something that is Illinois' weakness. I mean, we've known that Wisconsin, Alabama. I mean, look at all the games that we've lost this year. A lot of it's been to elite guards. But the question is, how elite can they really be when they finished, not even what did they finish top five in their conference? I assume they did.
Yeah, they were tied for first in their conference with St. Louis, but I don't think they
Okay.
won their conference. Let me see. Did they
No,
win
I
their
think
conference tournament?
I think they
Oh, they
did.
did.
But if they didn't, they probably wouldn't have gotten in the tournament. So I don't think that they're that elite, clearly. But I do think that, even semi-elite guards can give us a problem, which that's what I worry about a little bit.
If we're gonna give a comparison to another team as far as VCU goes, I'm trying to look for the closest Big Ten team that's
Well,
comparable with.
yeah, Sleepers Media did that. I think they said it was Indiana.
It is Indiana. Indiana's right there with them. VCU is 42 in Ken Palm. Indiana's 45. VCU's offense is 46. Indiana is 40. And their defense, VCU's, is 51, and Indiana's is 66. So they're pretty similar in terms of Ken Palm averages and Ken Palm ratings. And I think the Illini, I don't think I know the Illini beat Indiana by more than 20 points because I was at that game. Um, so if we're facing an Indiana, I'm not too worried about it, but obviously this is going to be a more inspired team than Indiana because they're in the NCAA tournament. I think it'll be a close one. I think it'll certainly be closer than the 11.5 point spread that it is now. I think every NCAA tournament game is going to be closer than double digit points because you just never really know at the end a team can get hot and just go on a crazy run. I'm not going to make a game prediction for this one because I am more nervous about this one than I was for the Penn game. So I'm going to hold off on a game prediction and a final score prediction. But I don't think it's going to be by more than 11.5 points. I think the Illini will have to grind this one out. It could come down to free throws at the end. I would like to see us hit a few more shots if we're going to be so insistent on taking them, but they did in the second half, so I'm hoping that carries over. I will give an MVP prediction in this one, though. Um, let's see. I'm feeling, I almost said Jake Davis, just because I think he's going to be the one that gets hot this game. I think Jake Davis is going to be that like two player that we're talking about for the Illini, like Ben Humrickhouse was for the Penn game. So Jake Davis, second MVP or second most valuable player. But I think number one is going to be, I don't know why, but Andrei Stojakovic. I think the Illini could have utilized him a little bit more in the game against Penn. And I think if we give him a few more minutes, yeah, sometimes you just need a guy to put his head down and get a layup or get fouled at the end of a game, and Andre is really good at that. So I think that could be imperative in a close game. Also, did you see the clip of like when they mic'd him up before the Penn game, and they had clips of him shooting, and he was hitting like 4 or 5 3-pointers in a row just purely, and it was like I know they're playing at a much higher pace in a real game, and there's defenders flying all over, and you got like a 6'8" guy in your face. But how does it not translate? Because it looks so good in that video. And then watching him in the game sometimes, I know he hit the one yesterday in the second half, but sometimes watching him in the game, it's like that shot is so ugly. Just keep driving, Andre. But I'm going to take him to be my MVP against VCU. But let's hear your prediction for the game because I know you always give one. I know you're always pretty optimistically on the Illini, but MVP prediction and then game prediction as well.
I'm going MVP. Yeah, Andre's a good pick. I'll go Keaton. I mean, kind of a basic pick, but I think, well, no, you know what? I'm going Kylan Boswell because I think we're going to need him to step up defensively for sure. And I think when he's playing good defensively, it's going to translate to his offense. I think he's going to hit a couple threes. It's going to get him in rhythm. I feel he's going to have a, possibly best performance of the season because he hasn't really had a standout performance from what I can remember. But yeah, I'll go with Kylan. I'll say 15, no, 18 points, 7 rebounds, 5 assists. And I'll just give a final score prediction right now. I'll say Illinois 96, VCU 71.
So another double digit win, 25 points this time instead of 35 points this time. But uh, I I like your optimism. I hope we win by 25. I'm just thinking this one's going to be a little bit closer and more of a dogfight. But we will see Saturday night at 6:50 p.m. on CBS. Before we end this episode, though, I do want to ask you, what's been your favorite March Madness moment so far? Because the first day of the tournament was crazy, and I would argue the second day has already been crazier.
I mean, I could say Wisconsin losing. I could
Besides Illinois,
say,
obviously.
yeah, well, maybe, Nebraska. Sure, I'll go with the easy answer. Nebraska getting their first win, but also Wisconsin losing was kind of cool. Although it was embarrassing because, like, the Big Ten, I wanted the Big Ten to stand up and represent, and we lost the first 2 games of the tournament. And well, how many have we lost now? Is it 3 total or 2? OSU,
Ohio State,
Wisconsin,
Wisconsin. Did any big time
UCLA
teams play
won,
later?
right?
They play later.
Or they play later.
Uh, Iowa's kicking Clemson's ass right now.
That's good.
I think we just had those two teams play and then Illinois and Michigan, obviously, and Michigan State. So they're 3-2.
Not bad. I mean, I guess I'm just spoiled from last year when we went like 9-0 in the first round.
Or I'm sorry, they're 4-2 actually. But yeah, I agree. The first two games were not great. That Nebraska game was cool. I think they played in Oklahoma City, which was a little bit silly of a draw for Nebraska to be able to play so close to home. But that was like a home environment for Nebraska. It was so loud in there, and usually it's loud for the underdog team. Not in that case. Because usually everybody's just watching those games as a fan. They don't like support one of the schools they're like that are actually playing because the games are so far away. Um, so usually the fans rally behind the lower seed, but that was not the case. That was a cool game to watch. Good for Nebraska. They can finally talk about on their podcasts now about their first NCAA tournament win, and it can be their first recap too, even
Who
if
do
they've
they
been doing
play
it for 10
next?
years. They'll play Vanderbilt next, which is a really good game, I think.
It's a
Uh,
winnable game for sure.
Wisconsin also, my point about them, Illini fans were very quick to be in Wisconsin's like Twitter DMs, Twitter feeds. I was like, whoa, 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 let's pump the brakes on crap talking Wisconsin until we win our own game. I'm kind of like happy and sad about that one because I did have Wisconsin in my bracket and I really wanted to see Darius Acuff versus Nick Boyd. So we got robbed of that second round matchup. But I did really like the fact that Chase Johnston went nuclear for High Point University. Shout out Chase's. He's a cool representation of a Chase, so I like that. My favorite moment of the tournament so far has got to be the Kentucky versus Santa Clara game, though. I think there was back to back. Well, the first one wasn't a buzzer beater, but it was a 3-point heave from whatever player on Santa Clara. I think it was Graves or Grays or something. And then Ortega oh 08 gets the inbounds with 2.4 seconds left and hits a half quarter to send it to overtime. And then Kentucky won in overtime, obviously. But that was such a cool shot. That's how I envision March. Like there needs to be one of those two, one or two of those situations at least every first round for it to be really cool. We still haven't gotten a crazy upset yet. I guess you could say High Point over Wisconsin, the 12-5, but that seems to happen every year. We haven't gotten like a 15-2 or like a 14-3. Almost happened today with Wright State nearly beating Virginia. Like I said, I think I said on a podcast before, I was so glad the Illini avoided playing Wright State because I knew that team was going to be really good in March. Um, and then I guess final point is we really suck at picking a bracket together because we're in the Chillinois Basketball Podcast Bracket Challenge. And shout out to everybody who joined that, firstly, because there's 25 people in there, which is a pretty good group for the first time around. I hope to get it to like 50 next tournament, maybe 100. But shout out to everybody who joined, and shout out to the leader at the moment, Jeff Moore, our guy, our Tennessee insider.
Oh, nice.
I know his Louisville Cardinals lost yesterday. So, or sorry, they won. They won yesterday. I picked USF to beat them, but they won yesterday. Tennessee won today over Miami of Ohio, which I know you're happy about. But shout out Jeff Moore and shout out everybody who's in the bracket challenge. But we need to rethink our picks for next year because we are doing terribly. My personal bracket is the second bottom, and our bracket is
Well,
the number
there was a
one.
couple that we had disagreed on, and I let you take them, but I can't remember what those
Yeah, I
were.
know I
What
talked you into too much, and my bracket's really bad this year. But I still have all my we have our Sweet 16 team still, and we have our Elite Eight team still, so we can
I
make a
have all my
comeback.
Sweet 16 teams, and that's all that matters. Is all as
Yeah.
long as all your Sweet 16 teams are still in it, you're solid.
As soon as my bracket isn't perfect anymore, all I care about is the teams I pick to go far. Because everybody gets so hyped about going, what, like 30 for 32 in the first round games, and then they lose their final four in the second round, and then they're screwed because they can't get any more points. But we did suck in the first round. But I wanted to shout out everybody who's in it. Glad you guys
I
joined it.
only have one team in my round of 32 that's out, and that's BYU. I chose BYU to get beat Texas.
Yeah, I
E-
think I have
e-
the same thing. But
Every other team I still have correct.
so we got a lot of potential points on the board.
Right.
Um,
That's all that matters.
but
I
no,
could
yeah,
win
the
a
second.
hat. You could be buying me a hat.
I'm not buying you a hat. You can buy your own hat, or we'll send it here. Disclaimer right now. We'll put it in the universe so people can hear it. If Noah and I win, we're not gonna buy ourselves something. So whoever is like second below us, if we win for some reason, we'll get the merchandise. But currently, Jeff Moore's on top. I think he already has some Chillinois merch, but he can always have some more and spread the word about us. Um, I feel like I was gonna make a final point there. Oh, I guess the any tiebreaker would be decided by the game score because you have to put a game score on ESPN. So that'll settle it for us.
If there's a tie, I mean, I would be very surprised, but
I would be
it,
shocked too.
I do have Illinois in my Elite Eight, so I'm hoping that they win this game and then the
Ooh,
Houston Texas A&M game, which Houston Texas A&M, don't count Texas A&M out. Don't
they
count them
look pretty
out.
good. Houston looked really good too defensively. They were the best defensive team yesterday, but
They
Texas
played
A&M did look good.
Idaho.
Yeah, they did play Idaho. Um, but yeah, I mean, our first round has not been great, but we still have some potential points on the board. But either way, I'm just happy people joined it. It's been fun so far. It's been a fun first 2 days of the tournament, and glad we're ending this podcast episode when we are because we have like five, six, I think it's eight more games to watch for the rest of the night. So that'll be fun. Enjoy March, everybody. The Illini will face VCU, the Rams out of the Atlantic 10, the 11 seed, tomorrow at 6:50 p.m. on CBS. We'll end this episode the same way we always do, Noah. ILL.
I and I.